Hello peoples, Bubba Ace here, and welcome to the special Ninja Warrior of Roblox video. Based on the title, you can already guess what this video is about. It's about gross sodas. Wait. While we await for the premiere of Tournament 21, I thought it'd be a good idea to do another Top 10-like video. Or in this case, Top 20, as opposed to the other Top 10-like video, which was a Top 25, but that's besides the point. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to be ranking each of the 20 tournaments that have already aired, starting with what I consider to be the worst, and work my way towards to what I consider to be the best. I'm going to be taking into account the results of each tournament, the good and bad of each tournament, such as what I liked about filming each tournament, and what I hated about filming each tournament, anything fun about certain competitors, and anything I could wish I could forget about certain competitors, the quality of each tournament video, as well as editing each tournament video. Now keep in mind, this is all based on the opinion on the guy who created this show and has had to do a lot with each tournament. If you actually like any of the tournaments that I personally hate, or at least find to be the least good, that's fine. Also, if you hate any of the tournaments that I personally like, that's also fine. So without further ado, let's get this started. This is rating the 20 Ninja Warrior Roblox tournaments from worst to best. Hope you enjoy. Kicking off the list is Tournament 9, which was filmed in April of 2014. This one is what I consider to be the worst for the following reasons. 1. It was a bloodbath, as only 3 competitors cleared Stage 1, and no one cleared Stage 2. 2. I used the spectator command to record each run. I don't know why I thought it would be a good idea. Maybe I just wanted to try recording runs that way to see if it would be a lot easier, since I wouldn't have to worry about lag or suddenly stop flying due to accidentally turning it off because some idiot thought double tapping the jump button was a good idea! But in the end, I didn't like that format since we couldn't see any potential mistakes made by competitors or if an obstacle malfunctioned, namely the flow pattern of the jumping spider, and other reasons I don't really recall. The only good things I can say about this tournament is, 1. Actually using the intro to show short replays of the previous episode, as opposed to a previous tournament where I just kept repeating what happened in Tournament 7. 2. An all-star made it to Stage 2 and finished in first place. 3. I had co-commentators for each episode of this tournament, with the exception of the finale. And 4. This was the first tournament to show the bonus runs. Other than that, I'd rather have this tournament be in my memory as a bad fever dream. Coming in at number 19 is Tournament 8, which was filmed in February 2014. A lot of you probably saw this coming, but most likely at the number 20 spot. But I'll get to why I put this at number 19 in just a minute. First, I'm going to say what I liked about this tournament. It was the first tournament of the Demon's Revenge era, following the tournament victory that preceded this tournament, with a complete course renewal and only a few obstacles being retained from the previous era. Not taking the Stage 1 clears into account, the last man standing finished in first place, and personally, I like it when the last man standing finishes in first. Now before anyone calls me biased or that I planned it that way, this was around the time when the run order was based on how competitors did in the qualifiers. And random numbers were given to random competitors that would have otherwise been bonus runs, although bonus runs didn't happen until the following tournament. Anyway, the bad things about this tournament: it was the second ever bloodbath tournament, with only 3 competitors clearing Stage 1, none of which were stars, and they all went out on Stage 2. Even worse, only 2 of those 3 actually ran Stage 2, while the third dropped out of the competition shortly after clearing Stage 1. Only 6 competitors got past the halfway point of Stage 1, which was past the jumping spider. This was the first version of it, by the way. And it ended the Stage 1 clear streak of then new star Dusklord 10. Not helping with the fact the time limit wasn't very lenient. Now with all these cons in place, why is it a spot higher on the list? Well, with this tournament being a course renewal, and most of the obstacles were designed to where you had to get a good running jump, which was uncommon on Roblox at the time, In fact, only one other Roblox course before this had obstacles that required you to get a good running jump, and that was owned by Sensei Sensei. Anyway, with this course renewal, I expected the course to do a lot of damage for this particular tournament. Albeit more than I expected, and perhaps I went a little too far looking back, but regardless, not many competitors knew how to handle the new obstacles, while in Tournament 9, all but one of the obstacles were retained and made the same, and the time limit was longer. And although more competitors got past the halfway point of Stage 1 that tournament, with 14 as opposed to 6, the final results didn't change, showing that they didn't put in enough practice to handle the obstacles. That said though, I can still understand if other people consider this tournament to be worse than Tournament 9. At number 18 is the very first tournament, which was filmed in March of 2013. Where do I start with this one? Oh, I know. How about the fact that none of the episodes were full screen? In fact, I think the first episode has the lowest screen resolution of them all. The first episode's intro music was so silent you could practically hear the crickets more. There weren't actually crickets, I just played that sound just to prove a point. My commentary was an absolute dumpster fire, since I can't improv if my life depended on it. Competitors will have to face certain difficult obstacles, starting in Stage 1, before making their way to the final tower. And I seem to lack the knowledge of knowing I can zoom in all the way to record runs, as evident by the first few runs. I learned later, but again, that's besides the point. And just look at the course! Good God, I mean, imagine this being the first Roblox Ninja course you ever ran. Nowadays, an obstacle course on Roblox looking this piss-poor in quality, that isn't an obby, would never be excusable. Oh, and I did the order Stage 2 runs the same as American Ninja Warrior did their Stage 2 run order at the time, from slowest to fastest. Now, of course, a lot of jumping courses didn't have the best pilot tournaments, and almost all of them start with very few competitors. Keyword being almost. This one was no exception, as it had 15. And I believe this course only got as popular as it did is because it came out at the most convenient time, and it was the first Roblox course on YouTube to have obstacle graphics on screen, and not just a timer. Plus, the ninja community on Roblox was still pretty young, so it was a lot more appealing to that demographic at that time. So while a majority of people in the community at that time have gotten older, and a majority of them have moved on, this tournament in particular definitely aged like milk. In at number 17 is Tournament 3, which was filmed in May of 2013. This tournament entitled Reality Pales as the first ever All-Star of the course. It also saw the most success in Stages 2, 3, and 4, seeing 23 out of the 45 competitors who competed in this tournament clear Stage 1, 18 of those 23 clearing Stage 2, 9 of those 18 clearing Stage 3, and 4 of those 9 clearing Stage 4. That success, however, in addition to the god-awful commentary and poor choice of music for the content theme, is the main problem with this tournament. You see, just before this tournament was filmed, jumping physics on Roblox were changed to allow you to jump higher and further. As a result, it made doing the obstacles much easier than originally intended, and that's why we saw so many people clearing. Granted, the new jumping physics didn't have much effect on Stage 4, but that doesn't change the fact that, at the end of the day, 4 champions were crowned in that tournament. So instead of delaying the tournament to up the difficulty of the course due to the new jumping physics, because I was too nice back then, I proceeded as planned. Looking back, I'm regretting not making the course a bit harder. Coming in at number 16 is Tournament 16, which was filmed in the summer of 2016. I don't recall if it was in June or July. But anyway, this tournament featured one of the best saves on the course by Enderman Yes Squid No. He, failed. Oh, he's gonna. Whoa! What the? What a say! Did you... And one of the funniest bloopers by Dr. PP.
Yeah.
Do you see your cheering squad, Phil?
Yes, I see.
And also, competitor Aussie Bro would go on to become the second competitor in Ninja Warrior Roblox history to clear Stage 1 for 5 consecutive tournaments. Not to mention, the guy who had provided the obstacle graphic from tournaments 10 to 16, the timer from tournaments 12 to 17, and other graphics from tournament 12 onward, was given the opportunity to edit the runs for this tournament, and did a good job at that. That said, the few good things about this tournament don't outweigh the cons of this tournament by a long shot. For one thing, filming for this tournament was delayed due to decal glitches, so I had to spend a day or two fixing those. Even then I missed a few bugs. And in Stage 1, the people who got past the jumping spider would either end up clearing Stage 1 or failing the Pillars of Doom, with the exception of 3. So it wasn't all that exciting. Also, the final outcome wasn't that much different for Tournament 15, as only one competitor got past the 6 flags, and almost everyone else failed the 6 flags. Plus, the people who helped manage Tournament 15 decided to back down on Tournament 16, leaving me to handle the chaos that would ensue alone. Not to mention, large gaps in between episodes of this tournament, as this was the point in my YouTube career where I was getting tired of working on this series, and I began shifting my focus to my food and drink reviews before I realized that people's only cared about Ninja Warrior Roblox, and practically no one will care if I stop doing food and drink reviews in general. So I had to get the peoples what they came here for, and thus turned this tournament into a chore from constant demand. On top of all that, well, maybe the second biggest thing, since I'm pretty certain that the decal glitch was a bigger concern. Anyway, this tournament also marked the retirement of Grand Champions Bunpei Shiratori, Ninja Warrior Sasuke, and Reality Pales, with the latter of the three going out on Stage 1, while the other two would clear Stage 1, but then go out on Stage 2. All in all, this was basically a repeat of Tournament 15, but with more bullcrap. The 15th spot goes to Tournament 5, which was filmed in July of 2013. This was the first tournament of the Rise of the Demon era, following Ninja Warrior Sasuke's win in Tournament 4. Oh wow, a total victory in a 4th tournament? Who would have seen that coming? Anyway, what did I like about this tournament? Well, it was the first ever 100 competitor tournament. Not just for Ninja Warrior Roblox, but for any Roblox Ninja course in general, which was a huge achievement at the time. And unlike Tournament 4, this was an actual course renewal that wasn't just replacing a few obstacles. Even though it retained 7, 4 of those 7 were redesigned entirely, while the other 3 were unchanged. The 4 redesigned obstacles were the Rolling Boulder, the Danger Climb, the Salmon Ladder, and the Spider Walk. The unchanged obstacles were the Dancing Stones, the Great Wall, and the Unsteady Planks. So overall, this felt like a new course that was actually challenging in more ways than one. But maybe a little too challenging at the time. The only 6 competitors cleared Stage 1, All-Star Reality Pales not being one of them, and his Stage 1 clear streak ended. But on the plus side, All-Star Kyle Ninja 3970 would become the second competitor to clear Stage 1 for 4 consecutive tournaments. This tournament would also go on to be the first ever Bloodbath tournament, as all 6 would go out on Stage 2, with only one of those 6 getting to the second to last obstacle of Stage 2. Now come to think of it, all the Bloodbath tournaments of this course would end on the second to last obstacle of Stage 2.
Coincidence? I think not!
This was also the tournament that officially introduced the Demon, which is one of those things that you thought was fun for the time and at the time, but regret doing years later. Yet can't really do a thing to change that. So yeah, despite the things I liked about this tournament, it would go on to be one of my least favorite tournaments, as I didn't get the results I expected or wanted, and it would remain in my memory in infamy. And at number 14 is Tournament 15, which was filmed in February 2016. The only good things I liked about this tournament were the new Mega Incline Crazy Cliffhanger, which was basically the Mega Incline Cliffhanger introduced in Tournament 12, but with an extra ledge at the end, and a 180-degree jump, and smaller ledges. And it would go on to become arguably the most iconic cliffhanger on this course, but that's irrelevant. Anyway, I also liked the introduction of the original Trust Junction before it was redesigned in Tournament 16, for reasons I don't recall, the buffed Thin Path, and the modified Bar Dropper, which was sadly never attempted. I also liked having extra help in managing this tournament, and help keeping competitors in check, which I'm still thankful for. And the last thing I like about this tournament is it was the first time since Tournament 3 that Aussie Bro would advance to Stage 3. Now, what did I hate about this tournament? Well, it ended Faripu's Stage 1 clear streak, it would inadvertently begin the downfall of Reality Pales, and it would begin the trend of the Six Flags doing the most damage in Stage 3. So to say that this tournament, at least for me, was a bit of a letdown, despite the good things that happened during it, would be an understatement. And that's probably what led to the extra help I had for this tournament and backing out afterwards. And I'm blaming it all on this tournament. Now we're getting to the tournaments that I actually liked, starting with the next spot on this list, Tournament 19, which was filmed in August 2017. This would be the first and only tournament that would feature the unreleased spin-off series American Ninja Warrior of Roblox, hosted by me and Reality Pales. Mostly Reality Pales. And even though American Ninja Warrior of Roblox would never be released, we at least got to see the 10 that made it and do well on the course. 2 in particular, but still well. It would also feature former star Lord_Dusk, formerly known as Dusklord 10, make a grand return to the course, and be one of the 10 American Ninja Warrior Roblox competitors. And it'd be the final tournament that would surpass the 100 competitor limit, as by the end of it, I'd be caught up with an even number of competitors. And it would also be the first time that only main accounts would clear Stage 1. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then good. The less you know, the better. That said, though, there were a few shortcomings in this tournament. For one thing, only 2 competitors got past Stage 2. Granted, they were the only 2 American Ninja Warrior Roblox competitors who cleared Stage 1, so they proved that they deserved their spot in the top event. But this tournament would also be the 4th time that a tournament would end with no one getting past the Mega Incline Crazy Cliffhanger. It had a very unsatisfying Ninja Warrior Roblox versus, and looking back, the course design felt a bit uninspiring. I mean, the trusses were pretty nice, for the most part, and were clearly made for presentation, but the water and the layout were pretty bland. When compared to the last tournament, nothing felt different or unique about this tournament, aside from the aforementioned American Ninja Warrior Roblox. Overall, despite its shortcomings, I still enjoyed this tournament. Coming in at number 12 is Tournament 12, which was filmed in March 2015. This tournament marked the 2-year anniversary of the course, and was the first tournament of the post-Demon era, following the previous tournament's Kanzen, which also officially retired the Demon. This was also the same tournament in which Fluffy Tails 2011 became the official graphics artist of the show of his own accord. A majority of the graphics featured in this tournament and so on were done by him. This was also the beginning of Aussie Bro's Stage 1 clear streak, which would also see him rise up to becoming an all-star and one of the best competitors of this course, and officially get nicknamed the Speed Demon. No relation to the course's demon, but we'll get back to that. And one of my personal favorite feats, the last man standing finishing in first place, with that very same competitor becoming the first person to defeat the newest incarnation of the cliffhanger. that person being Furipu. The only things I didn't like about this tournament was it was so close to being the 4th Bloodbath tournament of the course, as Stage 2 took out all but one competitor, with the only competitor clearing Stage 2 that tournament was the last man standing Furipu. Which, while that was nice, would have been better if more competitors at least got past the Cannonball Alley. In Stage 2 of Tournament 12, competitors who got past the Triple Salmon Ladder would then go out on Cannonball Alley. While I'm on the subject, I want to mention that this was also the tournament in which the Triple Salmon Ladder made its debut to the course, which was later turned into the Crisscross Salmon Ladder, but that's irrelevant, so I don't know why I decided to bring it up. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, cough, cough. Anyway, the later obstacles of Stage 2 looked too easy by comparison, and whether they were or not, kind of killed the excitement of Furipu clearing Stage 2, at least for me. One last thing I didn't like about this tournament was it ended the Stage 1 clear streak of Dr. PP. Of course, the cons of this tournament don't outweigh the pros of this tournament. Not even close. This was still a good tournament in my opinion. In at number 11 is Tournament 4, which was filmed in June 2013. This was the first tournament to have a course renewal following the 4 total victories from the previous tournament. This is also where I got more competitors in a single tournament than in the first 3 tournaments. This was also where I put more effort into the designs of the obstacles, the layout, the background, and the waiting lobby. Oh, and it was a tournament that had the last man standing finishing in first place. Also, All-Star Reality Pales was the first member of the 4 consecutive Stage 1 Clears Club. I just made that up, bite me. Now for the cons. It didn't feel like a complete course renewal, as half the obstacles were just bud versions of what they were in the previous tournament, and some people decide to play a little game of seeing who can get out of the lobby area, which at least inspired me to try even harder for the next tournament. And even though there were more competitors in this tournament, it was still an odd number at 64. What I mean is that 64 isn't exactly an odd number, but, you know, it's still strange that it's not like ending 5s and 0s or whatever. Anyway, only 2 of the competitors who cleared Stage 1 made it to Stage 3. This also had a very bad camera view from the top of the salmon ladder during certain runs, since I didn't bother to input a fly command to the course during day 1 of filming. And even though I liked the first place finishers being the last man standing, the result was another Kanzen, which wouldn't be so bad if this tournament was a renewal tournament. So I basically had a Kanzen in back-to-back tournaments, which I'm blaming on me for not putting enough effort into this so-called renewal. That said, I still enjoyed this tournament. Despite there being more cons and less pros this tournament than in Tournament 12, I still liked filming for this tournament more than in Tournament 12, as strange as it sounds.